Good morning, everyone. This is episode 13 of the Off Topical Podcast. My name's Gardiner.
And I'm Raven.
And there's a new crypto mining attack, and it's for Linux. Find out how you can stay safe. Plus, Valve releases their first day one Linux game, Artifact. I'll share my thoughts. And we have a new segment on the show, Raven's Pick of the Week. Stay tuned for that. All this and more today. But first, I'm so incredibly humbled and excited to announce that I'm going to go part-time at my day job next week in order to focus on the Linux Gamer and on the podcast. This is tremendous news, but it's also scary as hell because I'm going to be taking quite a significant pay cut. If you believe in the work that I do and you want to help support the show, you can make a monthly contribution over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/thelinuxgamer. Every dollar helps. Now, due to the fact that I'm actually switching up my schedule, we're changing the release schedule for the podcast. We're going to record Friday mornings and then release Friday afternoons. Hopefully this will give us more time and more attention to be able to cover more topical news stories. Anyway, this is awesome and terrifying and amazing, and I'm just so grateful for my patrons, my Twitch subscribers, and for you who are listening or watching this. This is going to be so awesome, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys, so thanks. But now, let's get to the good stuff. So, Feral announces Shadow of the Tomb Raider for Linux. They actually announced this like the day we recorded the last podcast, and it feels like ancient news now, man. What do you think?
It kind of is ancient news, but it's awesome. I mean, it was kind of a given, you know. I mean, they've ported the first two, so you know it was just more of a when are they going to announce the port for Shadow of the Tomb Raider?
Yeah.
But the most hilarious thing about it is they put it out and everyone guessed because you know usually Feral teases, you know, their thing, and then they have that little radar.
Yeah, they're already teasing their next one, too.
Yeah, it'll stay there for months, and they revealed it, like, what, a few days, a week or something after they announced the teaser? Yeah. I think so many people guessed it right, they were just like, screw it. You win this time, people.
It was something about, like, a crypt or something like that, and, I mean, it was pretty on the nose, I thought.
Yeah, and they have another one. Did you see that?
Yeah, what did it say? I can't remember.
I don't know what it's going to be. If some people were joking that it's going to be Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and it's like, really, people? Come on.
Well,
come on.
So then the one that they're teasing now says Flushing Point, and it looks like a pinball table to me.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
I don't either.
But, I mean, it would be cool if it was a pinball game. I really like pinball games, actually.
They are pretty fun. Do you remember the pinball game that used to come with the old versions of Windows? What was the name of that thing?
Space Cadet.
That's it. Space Cadet?
Yep.
I played a lot of Space Cadet, actually.
I did too. Yeah, wasn't that by Maxis or something?
I can't remember, but I think it's existed since like Windows 95 or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good game. So are you a fan of like Tomb Raider? Like the new Tomb Raider series?
Yes. They remind me of the original Tomb Raiders because you know Tomb Raider had that weird middle point where it just got really bad.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the early Tomb Raiders on PlayStation.
Yeah, they were fun.
Big fan. And well, honestly, the new ones are fantastic in my opinion. I know some people don't like them, but it feels a little more back to the roots while having a little bit of modern, you know, feel to it.
It has kind of an Uncharted feel to it now.
That too.
Yeah, I do enjoy them. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Uncharted franchise. It's a bummer that the Uncharted franchise is owned by Sony because it will never come to computer.
Right.
So the only way to play it is by buying it on PlayStation and then buying the remaster because, I mean, of course, I'm a huge Uncharted fan, by the way.
Right.
I love it.
I've only played a little bit of the Uncharted series, but from what I have played, like Tomb Raider kind of feels like it's the same idea. And you know, the only real issue that I have with Tomb Raider is that it feels like it's kind of dumbed down for consoles. Like, I mean, like even the PC releases are kind of like not great. They're not well optimized for like the PC, like the keyboard and mouse, you know?
Yeah, sometimes it feels a little quirky, I guess.
Quirky, that's the word I would use. Yeah.
Not as bad as some games that have come out computer, but certainly it could be better. It could be better. I know sometimes just popping in a controller just makes all the frustration just fade away.
Yeah, I tend to play a lot of these games with a controller nowadays. What was the game the other night that we were playing? And Metal Gear Solid 5. We were playing that on Twitch, and I was like struggling to remember what the buttons were on the keyboard because it's kind of nonsense, like what the buttons are. And you told me that you were using a gamepad, and you know, I actually got to try that the next time I play Metal Gear Solid.
It's unfortunate because obviously I prefer a keyboard and mouse. When I play a game, I really prefer a keyboard and mouse. I'm not the biggest controller fan.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's mostly for the mouse. I don't really care about the keyboard part, you know? It's
right.
just, you know, button input. But I like the precision that a mouse gives you. And honestly, it's just horrible playing those kind of games with a gamepad. But Metal Gear Solid 5 is one of those weird games where the controls are perfect. Like, they invested so much time and probably a fair bit of money paying someone to figure out the best controls, because it's so weird. Like, you know, you hold Q and then, you know, you like move your mouse over and then you like hit R or E or whatever to like call your horse, your companion, and it's like, oh my god, who thought of this?
Oh, no, like you hold Q and you move your cursor and then hit space. You can't like
that's what it is. It's space,
and it's so like bananas. Like it's like a non sequitur, but in like video game form. It's like, why does space mean go or like accept when you're in an interface? Like, I don't understand that. Even when you're in like the mother base screen, right? You use W and S to go up and down, and space to go into the menu, like to enter into a submenu. And it's like, I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Also, the other thing too, I'm speaking of Feral and going back to Feral. I'm really happy to see that they're still picking up ports.
I'm very much on board with that sentiment,
because I don't remember which company it was, but I saw it on Twitter, and they were talking with Liam Dahl of Gaming on Linux.
Yeah,
and they were talking about how, you know, whatever their one game is has a Linux version, and then they're making like a sequel or a different game. I cannot remember which, and they're not going to use the Linux version because the Steam Play version works. And I'm kind of like, because, you know, yeah, I get it. You know, if it works, it works. It doesn't matter specifically how it works. But it kind of irks me that it's like, great, so they're going to make it for Windows, and then we're going to get a crappy wine wrapper, which is Proton. And Proton does fantastic, don't get me wrong. But it's like, you know, I would like things made custom for my platform like everyone else does.
Right. See, I hear you. And like I really like that Feral is still developing and porting games over to Linux, even with Proton in the mix. But honestly, and I believe this from the bottom of my heart, if we had like Doom 2016 as a native port, it just would not be as optimized as the Windows version is. And I feel like
it should,
dude. Maybe the graphics like with Vulkan would work great, but like the actual binary, just things would not be as optimized. Loading from the hard drive, like things like that, like weird little stupid technical things that add up to an inferior experience. And just because like the devs aren't familiar with developing for Linux or whatever, but I really think that like the fact that right now Proton is giving these developers the ability to bring their games to Linux without having to add X amount to their budget. I think it's a great thing. And when Valve releases their Steam console, which I know that they're going to do pretty soon, I have this feeling that they're going to do it pretty soon.
It's a feeling, huh?
It's a feeling. It's a feeling. But it's going to be, I mean, that's going to be like the thing that really tips in favor of Linux, you know, like developers will actually sit up and take notice and realize that maybe we should optimize our games for Linux because this is a real contender now in the desktop space.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think picking Doom 2016 is a bad example just because it happens to be one of those rare engines where I actually think it would port fine. Like Grand Theft Auto would be one of those examples. Like a native Grand Theft Auto port would be horrible.
Yeah, that I no, you're right about that. Yeah,
because the id devs, they've always used OpenGL and they've always used Vulkan. So, I mean, and hell, they have Linux programmers there.
right. Well, like maybe like GTA 5 or like maybe Witcher 3 or some like one of these games.
Witcher. Let's go with that one.
Yeah,
that one's even better. CD Projekt porting something? Oh, good lord.
No, I mean it would be just a technical mess. It would be a nightmare.
Total mess.
And a native port of those kind of games, where they built it with Windows in mind as their target platform, without thinking one day we might want to port it to another platform like Linux or Mac. That's where the problems really lie. And I feel like Proton is a great thing that allows legacy support and allows for the entire gaming industry in the PC realm to slowly migrate towards Linux in the future. And I think that's what it's for.
What we really need is tools. We need all the tools that exist on Windows that people think that we have on Linux that we don't need to come to Linux.
Like what?
That'll be one of the big. Well, I'm talking like, some, like, for example, most games, despite Steam being the largest market, well, let me put that in more specific terms so I don't get destroyed on the internet. Despite Steam being the largest PC platform to sell a game, consoles are still the biggest moneymaker. For now.
Yeah.
For now. I mean, obviously, mobiles make more, but I don't consider mobiles games. I'm sorry to everyone out there who plays it, but I just can't get the whole touch thing.
We're looking at you, Blizzard.
Ugh. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Gonna have to go play Diablo 2 now to like flush out my eyes and ears from that. So like you really can't do console dev from Linux. Like it's just not possible. The debuggers don't exist. A lot of the new systems, the SDKs, everything, they're built around Visual Studio and Windows. And it makes sense. I mean, all your devs are going to be using it. Why would you bother wasting time for this obscure, operating system? Like, yeah, you might use it for servers, but you don't use it on the desktop. And that's kind of the problem Linux has. And I think once tools start coming, we'll start seeing more and more stuff released natively because, once developers migrate to Linux, they'll be like, maybe we need a Linux wrapper for Windows now.
Yeah.
I mean, I doubt that'll happen, but
right.
It could in theory anyway.
I think out of all the console manufacturers, Sony is going to be the one that embraces Linux first.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know. It could also be Nintendo.
It could be Nintendo, but I also feel like, I mean, aside from like the NES and SNES Classic Editions, Nintendo doesn't do anything with like open source software.
Yeah, but the Switch does use Vulkan, or you can use Vulkan on it. I think you can also use OpenGL on it.
I feel like that's
Vulkan, mostly just due to the hardware.
Yeah, I feel like if Nintendo had their way, they would have their own proprietary.
They do have their own graphics API.
Yeah, okay, they do.
Which is weird why they added Vulkan support. But again, it might be due to the fact of just what the Switch runs on.
Right, Tegra hardware.
It's like it's like an off-the-shelf Tegra for the most part. It's not super custom like people love to joke that the PS4 and the Xbox One are just computers, but they're super customized and very specific for their task. They would not, in my opinion, make the best, especially the PS4. And even the Xbox One, really, because it has that 32 megabytes or whatever of like super high-speed RAM that you have to interface with. And the PS4, you have the I forget the term,
share
the
button.
name. Yeah, the share button. No, God, no, not that thing. I hate hitting that thing, by the way.
I do too. I hit it on accident, and I'm like, what the did I just do?
I meant more it has, 8 gigs of GDR5 for like everything. Like everything accesses and uses the same memory pool.
Oh yeah. Like the graphics.
So, yeah, so they're not like the most I mean, they're not they're definitely built to be gaming consoles, is what I'm saying. And the Switch is kind of like a phone that's been turned into a gaming console.
Right.
A nice one, actually.
I really like my Switch. I'm glad I bought it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like mine as well. Like, they're not the shiniest games, but most of them are actually pretty fun.
I am a huge fan of Breath of the Wild and
I know it's great, right?
Odyssey. Yeah, they're both great.
We've taken the off-topical podcast to truly off-topic, by the way.
Yeah, we've gone off the rails at this point, but that's all right. Let's write this train, shall we? Parkitect is out of early access now. Parkitect, I grew up playing Roller Coaster Tycoon and these kind of games. I really love the I've been playing 2 Point Hospital, right? Is that what it's called? 2 Points Hospital.
Yes, that's what you've been.
And I love it, and it's so good. And as a rule of thumb, I don't play early access games, so I haven't tried Parkitect yet. But I just bought it before we started recording the podcast because I plan on streaming it. I really, really, really love these kind of games, especially when they're, they take the old mechanics of the games that I love and they bring them over to a new interface, upgrade the parts that are broken. I'm really excited to play it. What do you think, man?
I bought it when it was in like super alpha before it hit Steam on early access.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was like, oh my, a 3D version of Roller Coaster Tycoon. Because did you ever play Roller Coaster Tycoon 3?
I did, yes. I actually really liked Roller Coaster Tycoon 3.
It was good, but it wasn't Roller Coaster Tycoon. It didn't have that feel of Roller Coaster Tycoon, but it was good. Right. So, that's fine. It's like they tried to do something different, and then they made something really nice with it. So I'm not going to knock them for it, but it didn't really completely feel like Roller Coaster Tycoon to me.
No, I hear you there. It ended up, there were just a couple parts about it that I just didn't add up to a Roller Coaster Tycoon experience. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, but Parkitect is literally like someone just went and played Roller Coaster Tycoon 1 or 2, and then we're like, we're going to make a 3D version, and that's pretty much what they did.
Nice. That's awesome.
I mean, it's a little different. It has its own stuff, like you have like staff pathing and all kinds of other stuff that you'll get to experience. Because you have to like restock your stands and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, like, because I haven't played it that much, because I've been waiting for it to get out of early access. So I'm actually really happy it's out of early access.
Me too.
Which I only heard that it got out of early access earlier today. So either released today, or I'm behind on the times again.
I believe it released either today or yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not too out of date. Okay, that's good. So I believe like your janitors and maintenance staff can also use these paths to like get to rides.
Nice.
Quicker. And also too, it's a bit more modern, so it has more proper pathing. Like one of the worst things about the first Roller Coaster Tycoon, and even the second one, was that sometimes like, because it always tries to call the mechanic that's closest to the ride.
Right.
But closive is a relative term. Like, there's a mechanic like actually closer, but like it didn't seem to like calculate the distance in the path. It just calculated how far the mechanic away is. Because I've literally had issues before where like they'll call a mechanic, and the mechanic's like on the other side, and it can like, it's right next to the ride, don't get me wrong, but it has to like walk all the way up and around.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but you can't pick up that mechanic and set it down, because then it'll call another mechanic, and it's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah. My
and you have to
annoyances
set up
like
the
that
little...
are the things that I like being fixed when I play one of these modern kind of reinventions,
Yeah, and I mean, the game's from the 90s, so, I'm not going to knock on it too much. It got a little bit better, and, you can do other stuff too, like you can tell them to stay in certain areas, and getting really good at optimizing that really helps.
Yeah.
And also, too, there's OpenRCT, which we need to play.
I love OpenRCT. We tried to play it on a live stream, and I failed miserably. Do you remember
set it up? Yeah, I do. We didn't even get to get in.
Yeah.
But we will next time, and I will send you my folder, which has like hundreds of like unique rides and all kinds of other stuff for like custom park building.
Nice.
Because I have some really ridiculous stuff. Like I even have like that special edition stuff of like the Harry Potter and the McDonald's and all that other weird
Oh.
stuff that some of it you can only get in the UK and some of it you can get in the US.
Nice.
People later released it. Yeah, I didn't even know they had that stuff as a kid, because I was a big fan of Roller Coaster Tycoon as a kid. I was a huge fan.
Yeah, dude.
Like I would literally like wake up in the mornings like 4, and I would either be playing Warcraft 2, StarCraft, sometimes Diablo, because Diablo 2 hadn't come out yet, and Roller Coaster Tycoon was one of the games that I would be playing before school.
Yeah, my obsessions when I was a kid were Roller Coaster Tycoon, The Sims, the original Sims. That was
I love the original
awesome.
Sims.
And then also SimCity 3000. SimCity
so
3000,
good.
such a good game. And Command and Conquer. Tiberian Sun is my favorite Command and Conquer game, and I played the crap out of that. I would always play like over like IPX, where was it IPX where you had to call in to your friend's modem, like actually call over a landline, and like
it had the direct modem connect. Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah, and so like
I can't remember if it used at that time. It could have been either using IPX or TCP/IP, or it had an option for both.
I think it had an option for both, and there was also a direct connect, and you could type in a phone number. And like I would sit in my bedroom with the window open, and he would sit in his bedroom with the window open, and we'd yell at each other, "I'm calling now, dude, pick up the phone." It was so great. It was so awesome.
Those were the days, weren't they?
Yeah.
I'm
turning 30 tomorrow as of recording this podcast, and I feel old as hell.
Yeah.
That story just made me feel really old. Holy crap.
I know. I'll turn 29 pretty soon too. And oh man, it's crazy because I don't know what the age range of your, the audience that watches this podcast is, but I have a feeling a lot of them, not all, but probably quite a few are, probably fairly young and may or may not know of the days of, dial-up.
Yeah.
Or were fortunate enough to live in an area that, had DSL in the 90s.
Yeah, I did not have DSL, in fact. I had dial-up internet, and boy, oh boy, was that an interesting time.
Yeah, I remember my cousin, he lived, I think in like the early 2000s, he had DSL. And it was I always used to think it was so fast, but looking back on it now, I can still remember it downloaded at like 25 kilobytes a second.
Yeah.
50 kilobytes a second, something like that. I mean, it was, I guess for the time, it was extraordinary, but.
Okay, so I just looked at my YouTube demographics. The majority of my audience, about 70%, are between the ages of 18 and 44 years old. So there you go.
So quite a bit of them remember the crappy dial-up days.
Yeah.
The crappy days of like using serial ports to play multiplayer games with your friends in the same room. Lugging around 30-pound CRT monitors so like you could have like a gaming session with your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
those were the days.
Only about 2% of my audience is female. So hello to you, ladies. Anyway, we've gone off the rails again, Raven.
Well, we have to keep this podcast true to its name.
True. That's absolutely true. What do you guys think? Have you played Parkitect? Are you excited that it's out of early access now? Let me know what you think. You can hit us up on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io. You can access the show notes there, leave a comment, join up, and have a lot of fun with us. Yeah, it's really fun over there. What do you think of the forums, Raven?
I love the forums. They're my most favoriteest thing ever. Yeah. Everyone should join the forums.
Since we started the forums, I feel like my productivity has diminished by a measurable amount.
Oh, yeah.
But it's awesome. I love it. All right. So Artifact, Valve's new game, has released for Linux. Have you played it yet, Raven?
Artifact? I'm not. Honestly, I'm not a fan of it, and I think it's a joke that Valve even remotely released it the way they did, honestly.
Yeah, so the game's what is it, $20, and it has microtransactions in it. I've heard a lot of people actually get really pissy about that, but you got to remember that this is Valve. They were the pioneers of microtransactions. Like, you want to buy a hat in Team Fortress? Go for it.
Well, microtransactions have existed before Steam even. In fairness, I mean, but we're talking like, have you ever played like mid 2000s Korean MMOs?
Yeah. Well,
they're bad. They're bad. They're horrible. Yeah, Valve does it a lot better.
The origin of microtransactions is the arcade.
Oh yeah, Gauntlet. Just put in more quarters because it's constantly killing you.
Yeah.
So you just put in more quarters. No, you just take a fire axe and just hit that freaking machine. I would love to have one of those, by the way.
Well, I think that's kind of like the point. Like, I actually played the game. I streamed it on Twitch last night, twitch.tv/Zondak. Hey, go check it out there. But anyway, I streamed it on Twitch, and I was playing the tutorial, and I was like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool. You know, I'm kind of digging this. And then all of a sudden, like, the tutorial ends, and I jump into a game with a bot. And, you know, it was on a normal difficulty, like the default difficulty. And I won the game, but it frustrated the ever-loving hell out of me. And if you want to hear me swear and get frustrated and be really angry, go check out the archive of that Twitch stream, because, boy, oh boy, the computer player kept using spell cards and like destroying like all of my units on the field, and it like was so frustrating, and it made me so angry. And I realized that that's kind of like the whole point of it, right? Like, if you're the kind of person, the game seems like designed to hook you, right? Like, if you're the kind of person where, you know, you want to have like the best pack of, the best deck of cards that you can, and you're willing to spend like $1 here and $1 there, this might be the game that gets a lot of money out of you, you know?
Yeah, I've never heard you get that mad before. I should, I'm going to go watch that video.
Someone should make like a YouTube poop out of it.
Right?
That would be funny. I'd watch that.
Here's my problem with Artifact. I like card games. I'm actually a fan of them. I love playing Magic the Gathering. I don't really have much of a deck or anything, but I used to like playing it. You know, back in the day, like back in high school and all.
Yeah.
It was fun to play before, you know, class started. Get to school a half hour early, didn't have anything to do anyway, so play some Magic the Gathering.
Right.
But here's my problem with it. One, it kind of like I forget who's working on it, but the guy who's working on it, I think, actually used to work at Magic the Gathering.
I heard something about that. Yeah.
He worked for some other trading card game. But my problem with trading card games is, well, for Artifact specifically, it follows the same exact formula that physical trading card games have. You know, like every booster pack will give you kind of something good, but probably definitely not what you want. So you just keep spending them. They're just affordable enough that, like, you know, you can buy a whole bunch of them and then bankrupt yourself because, you know, you don't have any self-control. And it feeds that, you know, gambling addiction that all humans seem to have a little bit in the back of their head.
Yeah.
But I'm actually fine with most of that when it's physical. Like, you know, it's physical. Like, I actually physically own the cards, but digitally, in an age where there's no cost really whatsoever, except for the, you know, like, you're not having to make the card, a physical card, you know, have it printed and then packaged and then, you know, ship the stores, and then, you know, you only get a, like, 30 or 40% of it because, you know, the rest is lost to the retailer, you know, shipping it to you and then shipping it to the stores. And, you know, so you get more of it. And especially in Valve's case, they get 100% of it because it's their store outside of whatever the payment processor gets. So my point is, I feel like, one, it could be cheaper. I'm not actually as bothered as some people are because it's a trading card game. Obviously, you're going to buy booster packs.
Right.
But it's like, it's a digital game. And for a game to be populated, it needs to, one, be fun, which I don't know if it's fun or not because I haven't played it.
I don't think it's very fun.
Okay. Yeah. It has mixed reviews. I mean, it's a Valve game on Steam with mixed reviews. I just want to put that out there. And like I'm saying, you know, why wouldn't they just make it free to play?
Right.
Like Hearthstone, as much as I love to crap on Blizzard, especially here lately, Hearthstone is a really fantastic trading card game that you can just go play. And you can get every single card without spending a dime. Are you going to grind for it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're going to be there a while. You're going to be there forever. But you can do it. And you cannot pay a single penny. And Valve's just like, we don't want that. And fair enough. You know, when a game is completely free and open to everyone, you know, you get a different kind of community. So Valve probably wants people that are actually serious about it to play it. Right. But it's like, it's a digital game. It's just a bunch of bits. And you want $3 or something for a booster pack? No, I'll give you my middle finger and just not buy it. Nope. No artifact for me.
Yeah. I mean, I felt obligated to get the game just because of the channel. But like, if I wasn't, you know, the Linux gamer, I wouldn't have bought the game.
Yeah, and it's a shame because when Artifact was announced, I was like, you know what? I like card games. You know, I can play it every now and again. Yeah. And then, you know, they announced that it was going to be coming out in November, and I was like, yeah, okay, you know, it's all right, cool. And then, because I thought it was going to be free to play. I thought for sure it was going to be free to play with just microtransactions. And then they announced it. It was like $20, and it came with like, what, a deck or two, and then some booster packs. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not playing that, huh?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing, I'm of two minds about that, the fact that you have to buy the game, like, at first. The first thing is, like, video games, on the whole, the free-to-play market, I feel like, is oversaturated, like, royally so, like, to the point where it's screwing itself over, the entire market, because there's just so much free-to-play stuff, and there isn't enough people to actually fill that market. And so the fact that you have to, like, if you know, you have to like pony up $20 to play this game, to get invested in it. I mean, it's like a commitment thing. You know what I'm saying? They
want people serious.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, like, when you have a game like this where you're charging people, like, you know, I think it's like $2.99 for a new deck or whatever.
A booster pack.
And like, you get, like, I think it was maybe 15 cards, maybe.
Oh, if it's a booster pack, it's probably way less than that.
Yeah, it was like maybe 8 and 8.
Yeah, I think it's 8.
6, 8 maybe. I don't remember exactly, but I had a couple of them that I got when I bought the game, and like unlocking them was designed in a way to make it feel like really addictive. Like, and it annoyed me. Like, you would click on it, right? And then like this little animation would play with all these sparkly sound effects, and then all the cards would like show up on screen face down, so you couldn't see what they were, and you had to like mouse over them to flip them over. And then there was 1 or 2 or 3 that would like not flip over when you moused over it, so you had to click on them, and they were like magical, like special cards, like rare cards or whatever. And like that was, I felt like that was super like, if you were the kind of person to get addicted to a game, like, that's the kind of thing that would get you addicted to it. Like, no doubt in my mind, you know?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you can buy decks as well. Here's another set of problems I have with it. One, it didn't launch with like ranked matches or leaderboards or anything like that, which is really weird because it's the kind of game where something like that would exist, you would think.
Right.
Because it's not an early access. For everyone saying it is not an early access title. It is not listed as an early access title in Steam. Like, anywhere. Nowhere does it say it's an early access title. So they're bringing all this stuff. It has a lot of other issues. I'm amazed you were able to get booster packs. Most people were not able to redeem their booster packs.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people were complaining about that. But the other thing that really bothers me about it, nowhere on this page does it tell you that you're going to have to, one, spend more money. I mean, it does say it has in-app purchases, but nowhere on here does it say you're going to have to spend more money to get more decks. Yes, that is common sense, that you're going to have to spend money to get cards, like absolutely common sense. But it should still say it. Secondly, it does not anywhere on the page even remotely mention the cost of booster packs or anything like that.
Right.
And that kind of bothers me because some people are going to get it and they're going to spend $20 and they're going to be floored by the price of a booster pack. I mean, I don't know why they would be, because I like to think that most people these days kind of know how expensive certain things cost. But I also believe that they should just be honest up front.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just a weird thing about me. I don't know. But I will say this though, as like a plug, the developers of Wesnoth have a open source and freely available card game called what is it? How do you pronounce it? Argento Mage, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And you can join their Discord and ask for a Steam key, and they will give you a Steam key, and you can go play it, or you can just compile it yourself. I mean,
nice.
That works too. And it has over 200 cards, and it's free.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. The other thing that irritated me about this game is once you redeem one of the free items that you get when you buy it, you're no longer eligible for an automatic refund. Did you know that?
Nice. I'm not surprised. No, I didn't know that.
That's annoying.
Nice. I would refund it anyway, but I didn't like it.
Yeah, I might try and get a refund because it's not my jam. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might end up reviewing it, and if I do, I'm not going to get a refund. But all right, what do you think? Have you played Artifact? Let us know what you think. You can send us an email, show@offtopical.net, or you can hit us up on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io. So it's time for the news. Now, there's a new feature in Systemd that tries to fix broken boot attempts. Have you heard about this, Raven?
No. Is this like they're trying to fix like a problem with Linux or a problem with Systemd?
It's a problem with Linux. So if you run like an update, and for some reason the new kernel that was updated fails to boot, there's this new feature called automatic boot assessment, and it counts the number of times that you have booted and also counts the number of times you've booted successfully. And if they don't match up, then it will, after a certain number of times, it'll actually try to roll back to a previous kernel, and maybe not roll back, but try to boot from a previous kernel. And, it ends up, it could end up helping some people with broken updates.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think it's really awesome. There's details in the show notes if you go to Heavy Element, forum.heavyelement.io, and there's a link to the Systemd project on GitHub, and they have a couple of use cases here. A lot of it's really technical, so I'm not going to get into it too much, but I thought that this was an interesting idea. I actually had an idea about something like this when I updated Manjaro on Dargo, my desktop PC, and it just failed to boot. And I was like, why isn't there like an automatic rollback? If something breaks. Granted, I tried to like boot from a previous kernel, but that didn't help either. So I don't know. It was interesting. I wanted to just touch on this because I thought this was a pretty cool idea. I'm wondering why people hate Systemd. Like, I know I might get hate because I don't hate it. I don't know much about it, like, honestly. So
probably because it tries to be everything, like the kitchen sink and everything included. There were some worries early on that like Systemd would try to be like an OS within an OS.
Oh, really?
Because if you think about how Linux is designed, everything is modular. Nothing is really dependent on each other, except for Systemd. Systemd can bring down the whole system. Okay. If it goes... Well, I mean, I don't know about now, but initially when, most of this stuff was becoming a problem when we were leaving, like, what was it, Upstart? Or whatever Ubuntu had for Systemd. Yeah. They were, people were worried that, because Systemd's like, it's getting all these new features and all these new tools. And if you think about it, now it's not really much of a problem, but if you think like way back then, a lot of applications were finally just starting to get like Systemd like support and integration. And their worries are valid. Me personally, I just want the damn thing to boot. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
But on the other hand, all these other, I forget what they're called. Boot managers? They're not boot managers, but I'm just going to call them that for now. They've kept up, so they're still developed. So if a problem happens with systemd, then we can just leave. Also, I don't think GNOME can work without systemd. By the way, just so you know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's why would they do that?
Well, probably because GNOME is basically spearheaded by Red Hat, and so is systemd. So they're all tightly integrated.
Yeah.
Systemd is more than just a boot manager. Should really look into more. Like systemd does a lot of stuff. Now you're gonna look into it. Now you're gonna like freak out and you're gonna be like, I don't want it anymore.
Probably. That sounds like something I'd do.
You're like, no.
Yeah.
Why, Raven? Why did you educate me? No. But I do feel that in some ways it's also overblown.
Yeah.
It's a valid concern because, Linux is designed to be like a whole bunch of components put together. And, that's also its, I guess, greatest strength and also its Achilles heel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, whatever. Just, it just depends on who you ask and what they like, really.
Right. I think it's good to have like the many voices that we have in the community, and like the fact that like there are opposing ideas about systemd. I think that's a good thing because it lets us make progress.
Well, it also keeps systemd on their toes.
Yeah.
Like systemd can't just go off and do whatever it wants because you have this whole army of people over here who are just waiting for systemd to screw up.
Right.
So, systemd can't fail because these people are watching them like a hawk. Right. And also, too, I don't really feel that the systemd developers really want to make a bad product.
No. No, why would
there's that too. There's that too, but, programmers are lazy, so...
Right.
That's going to get a lot of... I'm not lazy!
Oh, I'm lazy as hell, dude.
Programmers are the most laziest people ever. We'll go out of our way and spend hundreds of hours developing tools so we don't have to do anything. Yeah. Even if that task only takes 5 hours.
Right. Oh,
it's
no.
Lazy.
I did the same thing at my day job. I actually went in. So, like, at the end of the year, coming up pretty soon, I'm going to have to remake the Excel spreadsheet that everybody uses to do their time sheets. And it would only take me like 10 minutes to do. But I've actually been like I've actually probably spent like 25 hours working on a web interface to do it for me, like to have like people log into the web interface and log their time. Like that's the kind of stuff that I do because I just hate using spreadsheets. I hate it. And it actually will poop out a spreadsheet that I can give to my boss at the end of the week that everybody, like with all the people's timesheets in them, so she can just send it to payroll. It's actually, I've spent a lot of time doing this, and she probably wouldn't be happy about how much time I've spent on it.
Working with spreadsheets is the worst thing ever. I don't blame you.
I hate them.
Yeah, spreadsheets are just, no. Nope.
Yeah.
You know what? You carry on.
All right. What do you guys think? How do you guys feel about systemd? Be sure to leave all your hate and your bile in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube, or you can head over to forum.heavyelement.io and let us know what you think. So this story actually comes from B101 on the forums, and he linked this to us here. Crypto mining malware will root your system and steal your SSH credentials, and also mine cryptocurrency. So you hadn't heard about this yet, Raven, had you?
No, I didn't hear about this until we were doing the show notes, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, it's terrifying. You can actually check out the link to the researchers here on the forums in the show notes, and it's crazy. I was reading through this and like what this. It basically starts out as a shell script, right? And what it does is it's about 1,000 lines of code, and what it does is it finds somewhere on your file system where it has write permissions, and then it downloads additional modules that it will use to gain like greater access to your system. So the script will attempt to restart itself using nohup, and then it will download and execute a version of linux.backdoor.gates.9, which is used to issue commands remotely and execute DDoS attacks. Then it will try several known exploits, including Dirty Cow, in order to gain root privilege. It'll try to kill any competing miners on your system, and it also will kill any antivirus software it detects. Then it will add itself to your etc/rc.local. I've never said path names out loud. It's so weird to say. But it also added to your hourly cron tab. And what else does it do? Oh, it steals your root user password, and it's capable of monitoring and collecting information on hosts you've connected to via SSH. And they hypothesize that this SSH snooping is how they are actually able to spread this malware, basically. Very scary stuff. I mean, I actually had some Russian hackers get into my server once, and they were doing crypto mining, and scary stuff. I hate that. It feels like, somebody is like broken into your house,
Yeah, it's totally a creepy violation. It makes you feel weird. Honestly, the script and everything itself, though, is genius. Honestly,
it really is. I was looking at some of the sample code from it.
Because you'll never see it. That's the best part. You'll never see it.
Yeah, it actually makes several attempts to hide itself throughout your file system, and it can like put itself into like networking services so that you don't know, you can't actually find where it's launching its modules from. It's a work of art.
Yeah. I'm actually kind of good that I don't really use any SSH right now, because that would be fun to look out for. But, it's still probably not the easiest thing to get on a system.
Right.
I'm hoping anyway. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean...
Now I have to see how many different Linux things have to be patched to fix that.
Yeah, so there are 2 known exploits, I believe, that it uses to get into a system. One of them is Dirty Cow, and the other one is labeled linux.exploit.cve-2013-2094. So if you're using a kernel that's vulnerable to that, definitely you might want to update your kernel. But I mean, I think based on its name, that was discovered in 2013, so it's probably not vulnerable. Most kernels that are up like within the last couple of years are probably not vulnerable to that attack, right?
I don't know. You should probably check and make sure everything you run is updated personally.
Yeah, definitely gonna try. Oh, so this one attack that the script uses was discovered in 2013, and there are a ton of commits that have been made to the kernel to patch it. It looks like so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
that at least takes care of one exploit.
Yeah, it looks like Linux. It was Linux kernel 2.6 that was vulnerable to this. So that's a while ago.
Yeah, but isn't that an LTS kernel?
I don't know about that. It might be.
Because there is still one of the 2.x kernels that's a LTS, I believe.
Fascinating.
It should be ending soon, if it is. But you know how Linux is. I mean, do you remember a few years ago when they were debating about getting rid of i386 support? It's like,
yeah,
like, really? Like, you're gonna get up in arms over that? Like, are you kidding me? It was like 2012, 2013. It's like an i386 CPU has been made in 20 years.
Yeah, I love Linux.
I know, right? It's like people getting up in arms about 20-year-old hardware not getting support anymore. It's like, but what on earth could they possibly do to make it better for that hardware?
Right.
I don't know. I think it's like the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah. I think the scariest thing about this attack, right, is that if you're using a machine that has been, compromised, and you SSH into a machine that you have, you could possibly get, at least get like hit with the script. If, it might not be able to root your system, but it still might be able to launch its crypto miner or it's scary to me. I don't like stuff like this. I don't know why people make it. And, it's all because of money, right? But it's like, damn.
Yeah.
It's just
steal
so
your
sad.
information.
Steal your information.
Make some money bot mining. I mean, mining's a failing market anyway. The market's completely collapsing at the moment.
Yeah. And this one's mining Monero, which from what I understand is actually easy to do on a CPU. But still, I mean, like, I kind of hope that the whole cryptocurrency thing is a fad and it just dies because it's so stupid to me. What do you think?
About cryptocurrencies?
Yeah.
I like anything that's not government controlled.
Oh. Okay.
That's where our differences come in, remember?
Right.
But on the other hand, while I don't like while I like things that aren't government controlled, the mere fact that cryptocurrency is just this mystical thing that is just reliant on nothing, that I am not a fan of. So I'm with you on cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency. More like fiat currency, am I right?
Oh,
no. Whatever. All right. Well, what do you guys think about this? This malware was discovered by a Russian anti-malware team called Mr. Web, and I had never heard of them, but you can check out their research. Or if you guys want to find more information about this specific malware, you can head over to the show notes, forum.heavyelement.io. Check out the show notes, forum.heavyelement.io.
So now it's time for my pick of the week, and my pick of the week is something that it's really awesome, and I'm actually really disappointed that I didn't know about it. And it is the broadband map by the FCC. This probably won't interest too many people who aren't, from the United States. But if you are from the United States, check the show notes, and there's a link to it, or you could just do a DuckDuckGo search for broadband map and then FCC, and it'll be literally the first thing that appears. And it's literally just a map, and you can go anywhere in the U.S. Now, it hasn't been updated since June of 2017, which, interestingly enough, we had a conversation about it on a live stream, remember?
Yeah.
When you were doing 2 Point Hospital?
Yep.
And someone mentioned that it was kind of out of date. I think it's Manchium. I can't remember how you say his name, from West Virginia. He's actually suing, and I don't know why he's suing the FCC, but he's actually suing the FCC to force them to update their map, which is weird because you think he could just ask, but I'm sure there's a whole thing there as to why he's specifically doing it that way, but it doesn't matter. But I'm hoping that it gets updated, and it is absolutely fantastic. So you can just punch in any address. So like if you're shopping for a new house or just curious or an apartment or whatever, just put in the address and it'll tell you basically what's in that area, what speeds. It doesn't tell you price, which is fine because prices fluctuate anyway.
Right.
And yeah, it's truly like amazing. Like seriously, I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking. So you can actually, the cool thing about this map is you can actually like type in your zip code and you can click on your block and
yeah,
and it will like tell you what ISPs are available there. I clicked on my block and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 different ISPs available to me. Now, a couple of them are satellite, so they're not really worth anything. But it actually shows you like the available. It shows you the technology that it's using. It shows you the up and down speeds that you can get, and it's really cool. Like I can't believe that this exists. Honestly, I never knew that this existed.
It's weird because no one was ever told that it existed, but it's very like this is nice. I mean, you actually see that, believe it or not, in a lot of areas you have more than one choice.
Yeah,
which is interesting because it's usually a big thing in the in the U.S. People are like, oh, we never have choice. Like in my area, there's actually. I mean, I already knew about them because I looked them up.
Yeah.
But I mean, most people don't do that. So you can just send them this map. They can put in their address, and it tells them specifically. And in my specific area, I have 9 different providers. Now, 3 of them are satellite, and like you said, they're just like, go away.
Yeah, not of it.
Go away.
Options.
Go away. Yeah, it's like that is not an option. But it's like I didn't know I had fixed wireless option here. I had no idea.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why you would do that because you have fiber here. So it's kind of like, why?
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, there you go.
So, like you said, this hasn't been updated since June of 2017. But and there's evidence of that because like my current ISP actually is delivering 100 megabits down, and they have a gigabit option at my address, but it's ridiculously expensive.
Oh, how much is it?
Frick. I think it's like $150 a month or something like that. It's crazy. It's twice.
I mean, it's
like
it's
three
double.
times what I'm paying right now. So it's nuts.
Yeah.
But and I'm paying for 100 down. Anyway, but like this lists my ISP as having 50 megabits down and 50 megabits up maximum. So, but yeah, it's actually really cool, and it's like color coded, so you can see how many ISPs are actually available just by looking at the map. Man, this is such a cool map, dude. I'm so glad you found this.
Yeah, and I found it because I was looking for I was trying to find, because there's actual websites that provide this service and they're terrible.
Yeah, they're
horrible. And I was because I was so frustrated. I was like, okay, this apartment's here. What is available here? You know, I'm trying to punch it in, it doesn't work. And then I was just I happened to notice it in the second page of DuckDuckGo. The second page of DuckDuckGo.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And that could be just because it's DuckDuckGo, you know?
Yeah.
But I was just this, what? Why is this on the second page? This is exactly what I wanted. 100%. This is what I wanted. And honestly, this needs to be updated. I know the US is big and there's lots of stuff and it's the government, but they should at least update it at least once a year.
Oh yeah,
because ISPs don't evolve that fast. Once a year should work.
Yeah, I wonder when
in June of every year, just update it.
I wonder when the previous update to that was. Oh, cool. So if you click on the gear icon next to broadband, you can actually see previous updates to the map.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. So
see,
before June
what happened?
2017, it was updated in December of 2016. And then in June of 2016 before that.
And then they just stopped updating it.
Yeah. I wonder why that was. He said sarcastically.
It's hard to say. I mean, it's the government. It could be something as benign as just they didn't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the government, man. I mean, you can... Obviously, it probably has something to do with the current head of FCC.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it could just be it's just the government, and that's just the way they roll. Which is, kind of depressing.
Yeah.
But anyway, how I actually found it was because I found an old one. So I found the old version of this, and it was last updated in 2013. So it literally took 3 years before they made anything new. So for 3 years, there was nothing. No updates, nothing. And it was not an interactive map. Also, I want to point out to everyone that it's using OpenStreetMap, not Google Maps, which is pretty nice.
That is really cool.
No Google. Even the government doesn't use Google, it seems.
Right on. Yo, I just zoomed out to the entire United States, and I'm looking at the continental United States right now, and the number of places, rural areas, where there's literally no options is terrifying to me.
Yeah, but also those areas don't actually have much people, in fairness.
Yeah, I guess. But
I mean,
still,
parts of that part, certain parts of Arizona right there are just a freaking desert.
I guess.
I mean, yeah, people live there, but those people are, but you are right. There are certain areas. You want to be blown away though? Go to North Dakota and look, you'll see a little town with and you look up the town, it has a population of 400 people and they all have 1 gigabit fiber. That's your only option.
That's awesome though.
Cuz there's this thing in North Dakota, and it might have something to do with the fact that a lot of people in North Dakota are, well, not a lot of people are. I don't want to generalize. Let's not generalize. Let's just say that a lot of people in North Dakota like to be less government dependent, which is fine and fair enough because they're literally living in a place that's really far from civilization anyway. Well, hey man, have you ever seen North Dakota? They're really spread out, and everything in between is just fields.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what some people want. I don't blame them. I'd love that. But they have 1 gigabit fiber, and it is absolutely mind-blowing. Now, most of it is satellite, of course, but, you would be amazed at how much of it is, not satellite.
Right.
It's just, it blows me away sometimes. Like, look at this. Hang on. I'm going to link this to you on Wire. Look at that. That is, I don't even know if there's a town there, being completely honest with you. Like, I legit don't know what's there because, I can't see like a satellite view. Oh, I can see a satellite view, but it's covered up by the barcode. Is there a way to get rid of the map appearance? Ah, there is. Nice. Dude, it's a field.
Huh.
Anyway, look at what they offer.
Wow. That's crazy.
Right? They offer 1 gigabit fiber. I mean, that is just hands down one of the most fantastic things ever. I didn't even know that until I saw this map, and I was going all over the United States. Also, I want to point out San Francisco has horrible internet. Good Lord. How is that area, Silicon Valley? I don't understand it. They have terrible internet. Well, I guess that would be Sacramento, wouldn't it? I guess it's that whole region. I guess it'd be that whole region.
Yeah, the region just seems. I mean, there's only one fiber operator out there. That's crazy.
Well, there's a few, but look at their speeds. They're horrible.
Yeah.
Like Comcast is out there, and Comcast offers 1 gig, kinda.
But only 35
and then they offer
up.
30. I know, right? Like, what? And then like the next street over has Sonic Telecom, and it's 1 gig. And then literally that right next to it is also Sonic Telecom. And then you just keep going, and it's like Sonic Telecom, Sonic Telecom, Sonic Telecom. Other side of the street, still Sonic Telecom. But it's only in that one little area. It's not all of it. It's kind of, you would think the area that prides itself on being the tech sector of the United States would have better internet, honestly.
You would think.
You would. Your scrappy little town in Maine has better internet.
I know.
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. I love my little town.
It is a very pretty town. I will give you that.
This is a great find, Raven. I'm really glad you shared this with us.
Yeah, I'm glad I found it too. It's been immensely helpful.
If you guys find this map helpful, let us know. You can send us an email, show@offtopical.net. You can hit us up on Twitter. I'm at the Linux Gamer, and he is at Raven67854. Or you can leave a comment in the show notes, forum.heavyelement.io. All right, so we got some listener questions and some listener comments. What do you think about that, man?
Oh, I love it. It's always my favorite section.
So we'll start with the let's start with the comments first. We have a comment from Jeremy L. I don't know if you want me to use your full name or not. Jeremy L. Says there's one theory you guys forgot to throw out there about the mini PS1 or whatever it's called. That is, it's a cheap subcontracted contraption because Sony doesn't care about retro gaming so much as they care about the possibility of an effortless buck in their pocket. Thus, the lackluster presentation early reviewers have pointed out. More than likely, I think it'll be easily discovered by the first person that pulls it apart that it's just a collection of parts like games, board, emulator, plastic, shipping box, etc., handled by some low sweatshop style hack company that does these products for hire as their entire means of making money. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's possible, certainly. But I think it's a lot easier to say that it's just Sony being cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, because Sony does list themselves as the developer of it. They do not claim any third party to be the developer. Now, that doesn't mean that a third party didn't come in and, develop the thing. I mean, it is just a bunch of off-component parts. So, do you know what hardware is in it, by the way?
I don't. Do you?
Yeah, it is a MediaTek 8167A quad-core ARM Cortex A35 with 1 gigabyte of DDR3 RAM, 16 gigabytes of ECC flash for storage, and a PowerVR GE8300 for the graphics.
Interesting.
Yes, and that's from like 2016, if I remember correctly, because that would be a Rogue from PowerVR. I think. Yep, it is. Haha, I remembered. I mean, there's nothing special about that. It's not custom or anything. It's just a random system on chip that they bought from MediaTek.
Yeah.
I mean, MediaTek doesn't make terrible stuff, but that's what it comes with. There's nothing special about it. Literally, I mean, it comes with the MediaTek comes with 3 different options for memory: DDR3, LPDDR3, and DDR4. And they obviously went with DDR3 probably because it was the cheapest.
Right, that makes sense.
And they cut off the camera. They probably cut off the fact that, they don't need the GPS, they don't need the Wi-Fi, they don't need the Wi-Fi display. So that saves some money. They might have also cut off the Bluetooth, honestly. Does it have wireless controllers? Or are they wired?
They're wired, USB.
Oh, so they just cut all the connectivity stuff out.
I had this weird feeling that they actually were going to have like an internet connection and you would be able to buy like other games, but maybe not.
From what I've seen, it doesn't even mention that it even has the capability.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just the cheapest thing they could find. And it works, and there you go. I mean, it does feel like, Jeremy said, it does feel like just a thing slapped together. And some people have actually reviewed it. They actually agree.
Yeah.
The controller feels a little cheap and, just some other general stuff. It feels like they saw the success that Nintendo was happening and they wanted it in 2018's holiday season. And they didn't give the team enough time to build everything that they needed.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the hardware is not really much of an issue because, I mean, you're just emulating a PlayStation 1. So that's kind of, it's like, whatever. That's kind of irrelevant. But, I mean, I don't know. Everything else feels kind of cheap.
Yeah. He ended his email, by the way, by saying, I enjoy the podcast, and LinkedIn is just Facebook for business owners who like to smell their own farts. I thought that was nice.
That is nice. That's actually pretty accurate, too.
Yeah. So thank you, Jeremy, for your comments, and we'd like to hear from you again. We have another comment here from Maxime B, and he says, hello. As a Linux user, I just wanted to say that I like your show. It's very refreshing to just have to hear and not watch something. I like all the subjects you speak about, and I'm in general in total agreement with you. I'm glad to see other people thinking the same thing as me and that I'm not the only one. Anyway, thanks again, and please continue to do it so I can continue to listen to it while I work here on my Linux job. By the way, I'm the ugly duckling of the workplace. Have a good day, Maxime. Thanks for your comments, Maxime. We really appreciate it. And we'll continue doing Off Topical as long as you keep listening.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm really glad you enjoy it. It's a lot of fun doing the podcast.
It really is. And if any of you guys have a comment that you'd like to have us read on air, send us an email, show@offtopical.net. You can also leave a comment on the forums, forum.heavyelement.io. And we have a listener question. This one comes from @B101 on the forums, and he asks, Gardiner, what makes you think Valve is working on a wireless VR backpack setup? Any evidence or recent patent filings? No. The answer to that is no. When I first read about Proton, I looked at all their hiring of developers and engineers and thought the same thing Raven did, some sort of console development or Steam Link 2.0. And first of all, thank you, B101 on the forums. Great question. My suspicion that Valve are working on a VR backpack is based on the idea that a couple of things. First of all, the fact that Gabe Newell said that he is jealous of Miyamoto from Nintendo, who gets to like work with the console team when they're developing the hardware to build a game to the specifications he wants for the game he has in mind, right? So the fact that Gabe Newell is jealous that he can't currently develop hardware for the game he imagines. That's one thing. The second thing is that one of the aims of Proton is to link, to provide a native bridge for VR games between the Wine wrapper, the Proton wrapper, and the native operating system. I think that part of that is to bring VR, because right now VR is really only a Windows experience, but the fact that Valve is focusing Proton on bringing VR games to Linux, I think that's a big deal. The other thing is that they're manufacturing their own hardware, and I can definitely see the fact that Valve would want to solve the problem of locomotion in VR, right? Because right now it's basically point to an area in the world, magically teleport there, it breaks immersion, right? I don't know. Am I making any sense, Raven?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, we both have had disagreements over the whole wireless VR backpack setup.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind they're working on a console right now. Like, I know that they are, or at least there's a lot of speculation that they are. But I also think that this is something that they're probably at least playing with. It's an idea that they're playing with at least.
Probably. I do think they are. I think they're working on a console. We mentioned this in a couple podcasts. And I also think that they're working on a VR. I just don't think it's a wireless VR backpack. But I definitely could see them rolling out a console with a VR.
Yeah. I
think I mentioned that in the last one. Like that'll be like, you'll buy the console, you'll get a Steam controller or two, and then you'll get a VR. That'll be like your whole setup. Oh man. Be like a full-on thing. It'll be expensive probably, but
Yeah. Well,
maybe we'll finally get Half-Life 3 to be a VR only game.
Right. Well, didn't I read somewhere that they're one of the rumored features of Valve's new first party VR headset is that it can do positional tracking of the controllers itself, and it doesn't need the lighthouse things set up.
I've heard that rumor, but they haven't said anything themselves about it.
It's not confirmed, but the rumors that I'm hearing and the things that I'm hearing, I'm kind of formulating my own speculation,
It seems very cool, yes.
Yeah. It seems cool. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is Valve working on a VR backpack? Do you have any questions or comments you'd like us to answer on air? Let us know. Hit us up on the forums. You can send us an email. You can hit us up on Twitter. Leave a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. There's a lot of things you can do to get in touch. So remember that the next episode of the Off Topical podcast is coming out next Friday in the afternoon sometime. No set time really when it's going to happen, but we'll figure it out as we go along. But so tune in for that next week. But right now, this is the Off Topical podcast, and let's do this again soon.